Pokemon Bank is shutting down on February 27th next year. If you have any Pokemon in any game on the Game Boy Advance, DS, or 3DS, start a bucket list. Finish everything you need to do in those games. Finish the story. Catch legendaries. Trade. Shiny hunt. Glitch the game. Anything. Once February 27th hits, any Pokemon not transferred into Pokemon Home will be stuck on its cartridge. If you don't know how to transfer Pokemon from the GBA all the way up to the Switch, it's a fairly simple but tedious process. Ruby, Sapphire, Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Emerald versions can only transfer to Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Heart Gold, and Soul Silver versions. However, this only works with an original DS or a DS Lite, since those are the only models that have the slot 2 for the Game Boy Advance cartridge. If your GBA slot causes the DS slot 1 to not read, well shit, you better pray it works, cause otherwise you're gonna need to repair that. Or get another DS. That's me. My DS Lite has that issue. Although I have been wanting to pick up an original DS, so no time like the present, I guess. While playing any of the Gen 4 games, go to the PAL Park in either Route 221 in the Sinnoh region or Fuchsia City in the Kanto region. The PAL Park will pull selected Pokemon up from whatever game is in slot 2 and give you a minigame that I do not know since I have never played it. From here, grab another DS with either black, white, black 2, or white 2 versions and go to the Poke Transport Lab on Route 15. On the other DS with any Gen 4 game, go to DS Download and run the download from the Gen 5 game. This will pull the selected Pokemon into the Gen 5 game and give you another minigame to catch the transferred Pokemon. These methods I just described, from Game Boy to DS, DS to DS, are safe. They require only the hardware to play the game and the software that is already on the cartridge. Moving Pokemon up from Gen 5 to X, Y, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon will no longer be possible after next February, so pay close attention. If you do not have a 3DS or a 2DS with Pokemon Bank or Poke Transporter already installed, then you will either have to buy a new console with it already installed, or get to modding. Because of the 3DS eShop closure back in 2023, it is no longer able to be downloaded unless you already had it installed previously. Put the Gen 5 game into the 3DS or 2DS and open the Poke Transporter. The transporter will be able to access the PC boxes and you can move Pokemon into Pokemon Bank. From there, you can deposit the Pokemon into Gen 6 or Gen 7 after swapping out the cartridges. But we're trying to move Pokemon up to the Switch. Open Pokemon Home and there is an option to transfer from Bank. I can't remember the steps in Bank, but the process will generate a code that will transfer your Pokemon into Home. Now you may have noticed that I left out any mention of the original Game Boy and Game Boy Color games, and that's for good reason. Red, blue, green, and yellow versions could trade back and forth between gold, silver, and crystal versions, so long as the Pokemon and the moves on it exist in Gen 1. For whatever reason, Pokemon were not able to transfer from Gen 2 to Gen 3. The Pokemon Company sort of fixed this when they brought Gen 1 to the 3DS eShop for the 20th anniversary, and Gen 2 the following year. These virtual console games were compatible with Poke Transfer and included a special mark once transferred, but Pokemon still on the physical cartridges are still stuck there. There are ways to copy the Pokemon from these older cartridges and put them in later games, but that requires certain tools and hacks that I know little about. As of now, Fire Red and Leaf Green are the only games from before Gen 7 on the Switch, with Pokemon Home compatibility coming in a few months, and Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald also rumored to be coming out within the next few months as well. I believe every Pokemon now is obtainable on the Switch, with the exception of a handful of Mythicals and Spinda. While that is a random pull for just a generic Pokemon, there's a coding error in Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl when it comes to the Spinda pattern generations that prevents it from being transferred into Pokemon Home. So like the spiky-eared Pichu from Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl Spindas are not able to leave their games. While you will still be able to transfer Pokemon from the Game Boy Advance all the way up to Gen 5, the 3DS games will effectively be locked out of everything going forward. Gen 6 and Gen 7 will be locked to their own generations, assuming cartridge rot doesn't get to them first. Unless all of the older games come to the Switch in some form or another, or future games get special events, come Pokemon Day next year, the full National Dex will not be able to be completed.